Hello everyone. Today I would be discussing problems from A to E in Codeforces Education round 164. I will wait for 90 more seconds so that the schedule time starts and then we will get started. Before we start, can anyone confirm if audio and everything is fine? And like probably feel free to say like how did the contest went for you as well. Okay, thanks Mithali. And probably I will wait for a minute or more. And like how was the contest for you guys? Okay, contest was not so good or the audio is not so good. Yeah. Okay, solved four in an hour, could not solve five. Yeah, like five fifths even for me took quite a long time and I realized at the pretty last moment like the final optimization required over here. And like I got the AC in last 4 minutes. Like I will go through all the problems starting from first to the problem. Okay, okay, let's get started now. The first problem says painting the ribbon. Alice and Bob have bought a ribbon consists of n pairs. Now they want to paint it. First, Alice will paint every pair of ribbon into one of the M colors, and for each pair, she can choose its colors arbitrarily. Then Bob will choose at most k parts of the ribbon, repaint them into the same color, and he chooses the affected part and the color arbitrarily. Bob would like all the parts to have same color. Alice thinks that this is too dull, so she wants to paint the ribbon in such a way that Bob cannot make all the pairs have the same color. Is it possible to paint ribbon in such a way? Okay, so like let's look at what the problem statement is asking us. It gives us three integers and an mk. It says we have, let's say, a ribbon divided into n different values, like n different parts. For example, if we want to divide it into five parts, this would be one way to do it. And we have m different colors. Let's say m is equal to 3, and we have some number k over there. So our question is like for all the possible ways we can paint this and ribbon into n different colors. Like if you look at permutation and combination, the number of different ways would be m to the power n. Like each ribbon can have one of the m colors, and like there are n different ribbons. And the question is like, first, like let's count, like let's pick one arbitrary way of painting these colors. Let's say the first cell is pink, second cell is green, third cell is blue, fourth cell is green, and fifth cell is pink here. Then if you look at it, like if we find the color with the maximum frequency, which is 2, and if we want to paint everything to the same color, the one possible way would be to paint this into pink, pink and pink. Or the other way can be like we can paint like all the cells green here. So like we have to given and an m and k, we should find first the minimum possible value of, and let's say after we have painted it in some way, let Cmax be the color which appears maximum number of times. Then the number of cells you have to paint would be n minus Cmax. Like, does this makes any sense? Like, why this should be the case here? Like, if you start with n different cells and if you paint them into some colors, and let Cmax would be the color which appears maximum number of times, like the frequency maximum number of times. Like, for example, like if you have 12 colors, first color appears 3 times, second color appears 4 times, third color appears 5 times, and the sixth color appears 0 times. Then the number of cells you have to paint would be 7, which would be sum of these, which is 12 minus maximum color which can appear. And the next idea was like we can find the value of this Cmax using pigeonhole principle. Which basically says like the maximum, like the minimum possible value of Cmax is n by m, which is seal of this. So like there are two parts to it. First, realizing that the number of, if we pick the color which appears maximum number of times, then we have to paint everything except the color which appears maximum number of times. And the second part is finding the minimum possible times a color with maximum frequency appears. And if we look at like their difference, then that if that is less than equal to k, the answer is yes, otherwise the answer is no. And like that was the idea I also had. And like if you could not come up with this, like the other way to do it was like basically paint the ith part using I mod m color as well. Like you can also use built-in seal function, but and like that was the idea for this problem. Like f max is seal, right? Like here I'm taking seal, like that would be the minimum possible value of color which appears maximum number of times. Any questions on this one, or if I should explain something again before we move on to the next problem? Like this was the main idea. In contrast, what I did was like I started, okay, seal part and again once. Okay, let's go through it once again. The idea is, let's say we have 12 different parts. Let's say color 1 is in 0 cells. Color 2 is in 3 cells. Color 3 is in 4 cells. Color 4 is in 5 cells. then you can see like the number of times we will have to paint this cell would be like, we will have to paint like these 7 cells to blue, because and which is essentially 12 minus the maximum number of times any color appears. And the question is, how can we find value of color which appears maximum number of times? There are many ways to do it. Like one way can be like you start painting color in the increasing order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now you know, like if you have 7 colors, then maximum number of times a color can appear would be 2, which is like in this case you can see like blue appears maximum. Or you can use greedy, like find the color which has appeared maximum so far and paint it the next color and increase its value by 1. And when you keep doing it, then you will realize that the maximum number of times, like the color, for example, first color blue color is like, if n can be written as q into m plus r, then if r is equal to 0, then all the colors by this process would be equal to like q number of times, which would be n by n. Otherwise, the first color would appear like q plus 1 times. And like this was the main idea, and like this is what is defined as seal function. And in the contest, like I essentially did this coloring part, to be honest. If n equal to a plus b, then like C will paint like n minus a colors if b is 0, or otherwise n minus a minus 1 colors if b is not equal to 0. And like in contrast, if you can see, like the way I did it was like I keep painting the color which I mod m was my way to ensure that like the cyclicity remains. And then I counted like how many colors are not equal to the first color, and if that is greater than k, print yes, otherwise print no. So like that is the other way to do it. So like this idea will also work. Like if you keep painting, when you reach the last color, you first go to the first color again. And now you count like how many time colors are not equal to the first color. If that count is greater than k, print yes, otherwise print no. And like that would be the other solution for this problem. Any questions on this one before we move to the second problem for today? Okay, sorry, I forgot to do C++. Like I don't know how to solve F, so like I can't really say like how do we solve it. Sorry, C equal to M plus 1. Okay, painting next color M as valid, but if you go to M plus 1, you should go back to the color 1. Yeah, like that was the solution. And like I will move on to the second problem then. Like to be honest, like I did had a lot of WS on the second problem as well. Make it ugly. Let's call an array A beautiful if you can make all its elements the same by using the following operations and arbitrary number of times, possibly 0. Choose an index I such that AI minus 1 is equal to AI plus 1 and replace AI with AI minus 1. You are given a beautiful array, like this is important, like the original array is beautiful. You are given a beautiful array A1 to AN. What is the minimum number of elements you have to remove from it in order for it to stop being beautiful? Swapping elements is prohibited. If it is impossible to do so, then output minus 1. The first line contains a single integer t, the number of test cases. The first line of each test case contains a single integer n. The second line contains n integers a1 to an. Additional constraints on the input. In every test case, the given array A is beautiful. The sum of n, like that's just removed. And like, let's first see like when is the impossible case. Like the impossible case would be only when like all the numbers are equal, because in that case the array is like if you do any operation, nothing changes over there, and like if you remove any element, like all the elements will still remain same. And in the samples, you can verify like the two cases are the impossible test cases. And the question is like, how do we find the maximum number of loops over here? So like the crux of this problem is find properties of array that can never be beautiful. So like any idea like how can we do it? Like first, if you look at the property of beautiful array, you must notice that a0 must be equal to an minus 1 for beautiful array. Like this is because here we cannot change the first and the last element of the array. And like for any element which is, and if a0 equal to an minus 1 holds, then at last all the elements must be equal to a0. Like any questions on these two observations so far? Like if the array is beautiful, then the first and the last element should be equal, because when we are doing operations, we cannot select I and replace it with first, or we cannot change first or last element. And if first and last elements are equal, then the only possible way to make all the elements is equal would be by making all the elements equal to first and last elements. Any questions on this so far before we proceed further? Yeah, like once we realize this part, the next idea is like, let's say like the first element is f, then because it's a beautiful array, the way it will look like is like any elements which are not equal to f, like any element which is not equal to f should have element before and after it equal to the first element. Like x, y, z are different elements. Like for example, if you have w here, then like this element can never be equal to, like if there are two elements, two consecutive elements, to first element, then we cannot make it beautiful. Like this is the crux. Like if there are two consecutive elements which are not equal to the first element, we will not be able to make it beautiful. And like once we realize this, like then like if in this array, like the one possible way would be like we can delete these two elements so that x becomes the first element and x is not equal to the last element, so it's not beautiful. Or we can delete these three elements so that x and y are together and they would not be equal to the first element. Or we can delete these two elements so that y and z are together and like they would not be equal to the first element. Or we can delete this f at last so that they are not equal. So the idea is find and like find the smallest length, smallest subarray which has all the elements equal to the first element. In this case, like this would be the smallest element. Like smallest continuous array where all the elements are equal to f, and elements before it is either the it starts from the first index, either it ends from the first index, or like both the elements should be equal. Like the other way to look at it, like push all index I such that ai is not equal to f, and then take the consecutive difference over there. And like that would be the other way to do it. Like for example, like let me take some samples here. Okay, samples are not really useful for us. So here it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now either you can delete all the elements here, in which case like the elements required is 2, 7 minus 2 minus 1. Or you can delete everything from here. So the number of elements required would be 2. Or all the elements here, that would be 11 minus 7 minus 1. Or all the elements here, like which would be like 13 minus 11 minus 1. And like that is essentially the idea I had. Can we make that claim that every odd index element is equal? No, we cannot make that claim. Like for example, this is a beautiful array. 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. Here, like if you look at odd index like this, this, and now this is a beautiful array, but all the odd indexes are not equal here. Or if you look at the other way, you can add 2 before or after it. And like the first and last element will always be equal because it's guaranteed that the given array is beautiful. And like I did miss that in the first place. And like based on the sample, it feels like you should find the starting array which has equal elements or the end count of ending elements which are equal element, but that is not the correct answers. And I did add some WS due to that. And like any questions on this one before we move to the next problem? And like I will jump through the code as well. So the way I did was like I found all the indexes which are not equal to the first element, and I also added w index -1 and n into it. So if all the elements are equal, the size of this array would be -1 and n only. So print -1. Otherwise, like find the minimum difference for all the consecutive elements -1 and print that as the answer. And like that was the idea I had for this problem. Okay, I will move to problem C then. Okay, problem C says we are given two very big integers. For example, let's take some sample 3516 3982. Like now, like we can swap any, choose any index and swap any numbers as we want. Like for example, we can swap them to make it 8 1, or we can swap this 5 and 9 to make it 9 5, and so on. And like that is the idea we have. The question is, let's say like these are the given x and y. After swapping, let's say we have x1 and y1. We want like the product x1 y1 to be maximum. And like the way to solve this problem is, notice that when you swap element, the sum of two elements is still constant. Let n be the sum of original elements. Then you can notice that n is also equal to x1 plus y1. So like your final product x1 y1 would also be equal to x1 into n minus x1. And now like maximizing this should sound familiar. Like the graph of this is a parabola, and its maximum value is at x1 equal to n by 2. And in our case, it may not be possible to make x1 equal to n by 2. So like what we should make is x1 as close to n by 2 as possible. Like for example, if you plot the graph of x into 17 minus x, then like its maximum value is at 17 by 2. And you can notice that as if you are as close to as 17 by 2, like you would get the maximum value. And like that is essentially the idea I had. Like any questions on this so far before we try to find like what should be the value of x after we do operations on it? Like once we realize this, like let's pick some element. Like let's say like this is x and this is y. Okay, repeat please. Like my main idea was like when we swap elements, like their sum is always same. So if you want to write x into y, which would be x into s minus x. And now if you look at this graph of this function, like now like you don't have to really care about y. Like it only depends on like the first element. And like if you look at this graph of s minus x, its maximum value is at x equal to s by 2. And like for us it may not be possible to get s by 2. So like we should as close to s by 2 as possible. Like for example, here I plotted the graph of if the sum of two elements is 17, then the product graph looks like this, and like the maximum is at 9 by 5, and like if you are close, like whichever number is close to this would be the one you want. Okay. And like the now the idea was like how to play out the average work, and like the way I will give it is like if you look at the initial equal elements, changing them has no impact. And like let's say like this is 5, 9. Then like in the average, like average here will look something like this: 3, 2, 1, 7, which would be average of these two numbers. And notice that all the numbers are between 0 to 9. So like if you try to find s by 2, like there is no carry. Like you can simply write average as like here you can replace it by 7. Like let's say if you want to find average, like you can take average of each element. So in the average you can say like here it would be 3, which would be sum of two elements. Here the average would be 2. Here the average would be 1. Here the average would have 7. Here like 6, for that 6 plus 9 is around 7.5. 7 plus 9 8, and 9 plus 0 4.5. Like if you allow like digits which have between 0.5 as a character, like then this would be the average: 3 2 1 7 7.5 8 4.3 and so on. And like now you can probably try to get more over here, but like that was essentially the idea. So the way to get near here would be like, let's say if here you need a digit 7 but you have 5 and 9, then you can keep 5 here, 9 here, and now you can make the larger digits here and smaller digits on this side. So like basically look at x, look at y. Some of the starting digits would be equal, so you can't really do anything, ignore them. And then place the larger digit on x and smaller digit on y. And because in average, like the number would be between the average of these two numbers, and then put smaller digits here and put larger digits here. And my claim is like this is the closest value of x you can get from s by 2. And like this was essentially the idea for this problem. Like I will take questions at the last, like what is suggestion for practicing on Codeforces. Like I will try to answer as many questions as I can after I am done with the first 5 problems. And like this was the idea I had. Like I have a boolean variable, like if the digits are equal, like swapping them does not gives me anything. Otherwise I find the minimum digit and the maximum digit. If my like if I have not placed the maximum digit on X yet, then like basically I place, like for the first time I place maximum digit on X and minimum digit on Y, and then I do the reverse part. Or like the other way to do it here would be, like first place all the smaller digit on X and all the larger digit on Y, and like the first time these numbers happen, make the larger on it, and then we are good. So like this would be the other way to do it. Like for all the places, place smaller digit on X and larger digit on Y, and then find the first number where both of these numbers are not equal, and just swap there once, and then you would be good. So like that is the idea I had for this problem. And like this is the solution. The main idea was like you need like the maximum sum would be when both the numbers are equal and that is equal to their average. And because it may not be possible to get the average, you try to get as close to average as possible. And the way to do it is like when the first time the numbers are equal, you can see like that's where they will differ from the average. So like you can choose any of them as the number, and then you can pick all the numbers of the opposite type. Any questions on this one? Okay, if there are no questions on this one, then I will move to the next one. Okay, please explain. Okay, the problem is there are balls of n different colors. The number of balls of ith color is ai. The balls can be combined into two groups. Each group contains at most two colors and no more than one ball of each color. Consider all 2 to the power n sets of color. For a set of color, let's denote its values. Minimum number of groups the ball of those colors can be distributed into. For example, if there are three colors of with 3, 1, and 7 balls respectively, you can combine them into 7 colors and no less than 7. So the value of the set of colors is 7. The task is to calculate sum of values over all 2 to the power n possible sets of color. Since the answer may be large, print in modulo of this. Okay, let's first look at like what would be the number of sets here. So for example, let's say we have chosen 6, 5, and 7. Then the like total number of elements here would be 18. So because you can place only 2 cells in each color, the number of elements required would be at least 18 by 2, which is 9 here. And because like one color appears 6 times, it needs 6 different colors. This color needs 5 different colors, and this color needs 7 different colors. So overall number of boxes would be max of 6, 5, 7, and 9. Or the other way to probably like in this case, like the maximum number of colors is s by 2, which is count of all the cells by 2. Or like probably let's look at the other example, 317. Here the total number of balls would be 3, 1 plus 7, which is 11 by 2, which is 5.5. and one of the color appears 7. So my claim is the number of sets required would be 7 here. Or the other way to look at it is maximum of A1, A2. Like let's call it B1. Like let's say our chosen set is B1, B2, B3, B4. And let S is equal to B1 plus B2 plus B3 plus B4. Then the number of sets required would be greater than or equal to B1, maximum of B2, maximum of B3, maximum of B4, and maximum of S by 2. This upper bound comes because like all the colors of type 1 should have be in different cells. All the colors of type 2 should be in different colors. All the colors of type 3 should be in different colors. All the colors of type 4 should be in different colors. And S by 2 comes because like if total number of balls are S, then we need at least, because each of the cells can contain at max 2 colors, so we need at least S by 2 balls. So like this was the main idea. Now like any questions on this one? Given a set, can you find the number of cells, number of boxes required? Okay, repeat once. My idea is, let's say we have color. First color appears 5 times. Second color appears 6 times. Third color appears 7 times. Like the number of sets are definitely 2 to the power n. But I'm looking at like if we know a particular set, can we count the number of boxes required? In this case, you can see like number of boxes. Let's say x is the number of boxes. Then x should be greater than or equal to 5 because all the first balls should be in different cells. X should also be equal to greater than or equal to 6, and x should also be greater than or equal to 7. Like this should definitely hold. And like the total number of balls you can see is like 18 here. So x should also be equal to 18 by 2. So like the minimum number of boxes required is maximum of all of these, which in this case is 9. And my other claim is like it's possible to rearrange in 9 boxes. Like that's a different story. For now, let's focus on like what should be the minimum value of x we have. Or like let's look at the other extreme case. First color is 2 times. Second color is 6 times. Third color is 12 times. And if x is the number of boxes required, then x should be greater than or equal to 5 because like all the first color boxes should be in different boxes. First color ball, x should also be greater than or equal to 6, and x should also be greater than or equal to 12. These inequalities holds because like all the box, and then the other part is like because we can arrange it in 2 colors at max, like 16, 23, and x should also be greater than or equal to 23 by 2. And in this case, this maximum appears for 12. So the number of boxes required would be 12. Can you explain why we can definitely arrange in S by 2 no matter what? Like that's not true. Like if one of the color is more than S by 2 times, then you need more than S by 2 boxes. And in this case, my claim is like, let's just call it 16. Then here it would be 16, and the number of balls is 27 by 2. So in this case, like you will need 16 boxes. Like first my claim, like the minimum number of boxes required is maximum number of times the color appears and sum of all the colors by 2. And if you take maximum number of 2s, that should be the minimum number of boxes you need. Like this is the first part of the problem. And second part of the problem is there a way to arrange these boxes in whatever the minimum value we have got? So I will come to like how to arrange to get required number of boxes later. But like any questions on this one, like why the number of required boxes is maximum of frequency of all the colors and S by 2 as well. Where S is sum of all the color number of balls you have. And now coming back, like let's say F is the maximum value of colors we have, and S be the number of all the colors. And take seal if required. The idea is if let's call it G. F is the frequency of the maximum color, and like G be the sum of all by 2 and take seal if required. Like if F is less than equal to G, then the way to do it would be like you can like let's say like you have arranged the balls in such a way that B1 into B2 into B3 into B4 holds. Like you can always renumber the colors in this way, right? Then the idea would be like let's pick some values to make our life a bit easier. Let's say we have only 3 colors. 18 by 2 is 9. So the idea here would be like we need 9 boxes. The idea is we first place the third color one time. Then we start placing 2 and then we place like 1 each time. And like this way, if like highest frequency is less than the S by 2, then this would be one valid way to paint cells here. And you can verify like if you start painting the color with max frequency, then second max frequency, then third max frequency, and so on. At last, like none of the boxes will contain same color. And if F is greater than G, like for example, let's say 317 is the case, then we need 7 cells. The idea is like each of the box will contain like the max color at least once. And because all the colors, sum of all the colors is less than 7, you can place the remaining cells in however one each time. Like that, this would be the way to fill cells here. So any questions on like how we can, like, first we came up with the way, like, what would be the minimum number of boxes, and then I said, like, based on the value of the number of boxes, how you can rearrange those boxes here. So any questions on this one before we move to the part of 2 to the power n? Now, like, the way to solve it for 2 to the power n sets would be, yeah, like, I am coming to the next part, like, how do we choose the number of sets or everything over there. The idea is, like, now, like, once we know, like, what we need is, like, the count of total elements, and we need how many times the maximum element appears, right? We need only two things. Like, if we know these two things, we can take simply max of these two to find, like, how many boxes we need. And, like, now this gives us an DP idea. DP ISM and M, where you have processed elements from A1 to AI. Total number of colors is S. Frequency of max color is M. Like, once you have processed this, at last you would have DP. Then you can, like, once you have found, like, this for all the places, like, then you can run a for loop on S equal to 1 to total whatever you have, M equal to 1 to whatever we have. Like, DP, like, this is, like, the number of subsequences which have total sum as S and maximum as M. Then we can do n sub plus equal to max of M comma S by 2 into DP n comma S comma M. Like, this is the first brute force idea I have. Any questions, like, how you would might populate this DP values, and, like, how you can calculate it? Although, like, the time complexity is something which is not at all useful here. Like, the idea would be, like, if you take AI element, then we do DP I S plus AI max of M comma AI plus equal to DP I S and M. And if we do not take this ith element, I minus 1 it should be. Like, let me write it formally. Like, we would have two ideas. Like, if we take ith element, then we should do DP I S plus AI max of M comma AI plus equal to DP I minus 1 S and M. And if we do not take the ith element, like, our DP state would be DP S M plus equal to DP I minus 1 S and M. Like this would be iterative DP part. Like the overall like M can be up to 5,000. Sum of all the elements would be up to 5,000, and like N is the number of elements you also have. So like overall time complexity would be N into S into M, and which will get TLE. So like any questions on like this 3D DP idea before we move to 2D DP idea, and I say the final version of the problem. Like you can notice like if we can somehow get away with this M in the DP state, then it would be something that will not get TLE, right? So the next way to do it would be we rearrange all the elements here, A1 greater than equal to A2 greater than AN. Now like if you, let's say if you have taken the subsequence of A3, A7, A10, A15, then like if you rearrange all the elements in this order, then you know that the maximum would definitely be A15, right? Because like this was the way you arrange the element. So what we can do is like whenever now we are doing this DP addition here, like this would be the number of ways such that the sum is S plus AI and the max would be AI here. So we can directly add that to our answer over here. And like that was the idea I had. And like even for like DPI, we probably don't need, right? Like probably let me, I can code all the DP ideas like 3D, 2D, 4D, like if you want me to go. Okay. Like let's say we have taken M as input, M is the sum of all the elements. Let's say M is the library which gives me mod something over here. Initial case is this one. Like does it compile? Like one base indexing. Like mint is an integer function like which helps me take mod something over here without worrying about that. Like for now, let's say like mint is an integer which remains between 0 to the required mod. and you can use it as a given integer. TPIJK represents, I represent the number of elements I have processed 1 to AI. The second S represents like the sum of elements in my subsequence, and K represents like the maximum frequency in my subsequence. Now you can iterate over all the elements here. We need seal here. Wait. Why am I getting 22? Okay, this must be S, not capital S. Like this idea passes all the samples. This will get a TLE because it's a 3D MLE also, like 3D MLE TLE, that's fine. The next idea is we can sort all the elements. Now we know that like we don't really need this PVR max. It will always be AI because like we are filling elements in the increasing order. The idea is still 3D. Like just notice that you don't need that max. Like that's the only difference here. If you sort everything, like you don't need PVR max. You can directly take AI. And the next critical idea was we don't even need like one more dimension here. Like we don't really need this PVR max now. And like whenever we are raising the elements here, we can directly add the count boxes here only. And like this was the final solution for this problem. Any questions or something that I should repeat again before we move to the last problem for today, problem E? Any questions? Okay, chain reaction. I will move to next problem. There are n monsters standing in a row. The ith monster has AI health points. Every second you can choose one monster alive, one alive monster, and launch a chain reaction at it. Lightning deals K damage to it and also spreads to the left towards decreasing I and to the right towards increasing I to the alive monsters, dealing K damage to it. When the lightning reaches a dead monster or the beginning or the end of the row, it stops. A monster is considered alive if its health points are strictly greater than 0. For example, consider the following scenario. There are 3 monsters with health point equal to 5, 2, 7 and K equal to 3. You can kill all of them in 4 seconds and like this is some process to show it. For k from 1 to max of a1 to an, calculate the minimum number of seconds it takes to kill all the monsters. And like this is essentially the idea. Like you have some fixed value of k, you pick a monster, you do a damage to it to reduce its power by k, and all the monsters which are just before it, just after it, also decreases by k. And like once you reach one of the dead monsters on both the ends, or like on the both the ends of the row, you stop there. And what it is asking is like the number of times you have to kill a monster over there. Let's first ignore the value of different values of k. Like how do we solve for k equal to 1? Any ideas for how to solve it for k equal to 1? Like let's just take this sample, like it's really useful. Like my idea was like if we look at each skill as an arrow, then you can see like first if we attack this one, then there would be a ray which goes from this up till the last. And like everything decreases by 1. Now like the first one is already dead. Now you start 9 different rows from here. Second row from here goes until 9. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Like this was my idea for this problem. And like 7 is already damaged here, 6 is already damaged here, 2 is already damaged here. From 4, like you would have 2 rows here. Like now the number of arrows here is the number of kills you have, and the number of operations required for k equal to 1. Any questions on like how did I counted the number of times you have to kill for k equal to 1 here? Like then 197, like this is the number here. The idea is instead of going from the left to right, we pick the first element which is greater than 0 and do one operation which goes until the last, as long as you can. Any questions on this one? So now if we look further, then you can see number of rays crossing this segment is 1. The number of rays over here is 9. And because next element is 7, some of the rays terminate here. Here also some of the rays terminate. So like if you look at the difference of consecutive numbers, let's put a 0 here. You have one row, one new ray starts here, 8 new rays starts here, 2 rays terminate here, like just before it, One more ray terminates just before it. Four more rays terminate before it. Two new rays start here. Three new rays start here. One new ray start here. And like seven rays terminate here. And two new rays start here. Like, can you see why? Because let's say if you are at this element, then there should be six rays which would have killed this element here. And because the next element is less than six, some of the rays should not will not go further here. And in this case, like there are seven rows which start from here. Because you need eight rays here, you start a new ray just after it. And at last, what we need is sum of all the positive elements here. Any questions on this one? And if you see, like this is essentially the difference of all the adjacent elements here. Like, any questions before we move to the next part for this problem? So like the brute force way would be, like we add one before and after it. Like, I will take all the questions from the chat, like just after I am done with this problem. Like, this problem needs one more optimization here. Like, we can first find the max element. For each j from 1 to m, we need a seal, like the number of operations we need. Like, if it's negative, like this is the count of rays that terminate here. Otherwise, like these are the new number of rows we had here. Like, this is brute force way to solve it, and like this does not solve my problem here. It should get yearly on test it. Yes. Like, this was my original array. Let's look at k equal to 3. So first we take seal 0. This needs 1 var. This needs 3 var. This needs 3 var. This needs 2 var. This needs 1 var. 2. Like orange is the number of bars required, and what we need is difference between positive elements. So if you now notice here, because 9 is less than 7, like there is no new ray. But if you look at like 1 and 9, the number of extra rays here is 2, which is like the number of if we look at 1 and 9, that which is equal to the number of multiples of 3 in between 1 and 9, which is 3 and 6. Or if you look at 4 and 7, the number of extra ray required here is 1, which is equal to the number of multiples of 3 between 4 and 7, which is 6. So like if AI minus 1 is greater than equal to AI, no new ray. Otherwise, number of extra is number of extra rays is number of multiples of k between AI minus 1 and AI. Like, can you see like why this holds? And like this is the critical part to solve the final problem. And the other way to look at it is like if we look at these as the interval, then for example, like we can count like how many pairs AI minus 1 less than equal to 3 and AI greater than equal to 3, AI minus 1 less than equal to 6 and AI greater than equal to 6, AI minus 1 less than equal to 9, AI greater than 9. If we try to find a count of all the elements like this, then like the total count of pairs like this would be my final answer. Like this is other way to calculate the same value. Either you count like how many factors are between AI minus 1 and AI, or you count for each factor like how many elements have AI minus 1 less than it and AI greater than it. Like any idea on this solution so far before we move further? Like let me call it K, because like that's what the problem statement uses. I don't really need this P. K Leon test it again. And like we can in fact even change this order of for loops here. Like that should not change the final count, right? And the next critical idea is like we can pre-calculate number of pairs like this beforehand using difference array or Fenwick tree or whatever we call it. Then we don't have to run this for loop again. And like this was the final solution for this problem. Any questions on this one, like, or like any other questions, not just related to this contest? Like, I would be happy to take. Like, for example, I am from Triple IT Delhi in fourth semester, 1300 on Codeforces. I have interest in CP. I don't know what should I do right now. Like, should I grind for becoming a specialist by solving rating wise, or should do lead code? Okay, you are in fourth semester right now, so I'm assuming like your internship season starts in just 3 months, right? And if that's the case, like I would heavily recommend doing lead code. And like I answered this before as well. I think like the main reason why I am recommending lead code is because like if you solve lead code contest, there is some good chance that the same problem may appear in some interview or something else compared to this code forces educational problem. Like the relative probability is low here. So with the limited amount of time we have, it's wise to spend more time so that maximize the probability that if you have solved a particular problem, the probability of solving it is coming it in interview or test is more. And the other reason is like lead code focuses more on like interview part and you are limited by your time, while code forces does a lot of general problems there. Like you probably won't expect this make it ugly type of problem in an interview, but like you can definitely expect some problems like reversing linked list or whatever is yeah, on lead code right now to come in the contest tomorrow. Okay, new to code forces, which division I am eligible for? Like you can just assume like every contest would be rated for you, like you are eligible for all due 1 due like due 2 due 3 and due 4 contest. So like any contest you which happens on code forces would most likely be rated for you. Sir, what is your suggestion for practicing on code forces for newbie? Like if you're just starting out, like my first recommend is listen is pick any seat or something over there and at least solve 100 to 200 problem to get a hang on of what's going on in the contest here. Then you can probably look for some topic wise or some other sheet or anything. Like if you are just a newbie, just solve 100 or 200 problem at first to get a hang on of what's going on. And by that time, you will also get some idea of what you should do. Like you can probably start by ordering these problems in highest difficulty order. Like for example, if you look at the way I did it was like when I started, like code safe interface was different back then. And like you can probably start from here as well, 500 and these two problems. Like you can solve half of this problem in this set and you should be good. Like if you look at like this profile, like there are a lot of problems which I solved in practice. And most of these problems were the easy problems. Like at that point of time, I like CodeSurf has an interface similar to this problem set. So I sorted the problem on the maximum number of solved, and I solved around 150 problems back then just to get started. And what about solving CSCS problems at considering internship? Like the main thing I have said is like if you are a beginner, like CSCS problems that might not help you less. Like you are limited by your time, and like that's the main problem here. Like had you said that you would have 1 year to try it for internship, like I would have recommended use our guide or CSCS a problem set like this, because like in 3 months it might be a bit difficult to get through the complete problem set of CSCS there. Same right. I am currently in sixth semester. I have interest in CP, but should I do lead code or Codeforces? But my interest in raising for CP. Like if you want to do CP, then the best way to do is start with AdCoder. Like AdCoder beginner contest. Like that should be the first thing you should start over there. There is one contest coming up as well. Like there is one AdCoder beginner contest tomorrow as well. And like to learn about topic, you can use our guide over here. But if your goal is to get a good placement or good internship, my advice is like your limited time may be better spent at somewhere else to get more better results over there. How to get good grasp on DP, like where to start practicing problems or should I solve it? Like I think I have answered some of these problems on my Discord server as well. Like here I have one channel like roadmap to read in 2 minutes, like where I have also answered like if you are looking for standard problems on some topic, say DP, then like this is the way you can do it. You can go to USAV guide, you can read about DP. It also has some DP problems, or you can also read CP handbook and then CSCS problem sets is also there. So like this should be the way. And like I also added some more advices here. So like you might want to take a look at it. Any book or reference for CP? If you are looking for something free, like we have CSCS problem set, which is known as CP handbook, competitive programming handbook. Like this is free. Then there is one more CP Forced by Steven Helm. Like this book is really book and like I haven't really read it. But if you are looking for something in depth, you can try this as well. Like you can probably buy a book from here. Like that can be the other way. Okay, like Discord link is in like the description of this server as well. Okay, sir, I practice my virtual contest only. Like that can be a good strategy, but the only advice I would say is like do ensure to solve one or two extra problems that you cannot solve it in virtual contest and take it seriously. And like you should be good with that. I have covered the DSA topic: array, stack, string, stack, queue, map, what to do next, continue DSA or CPP. Like if you are looking for DSA, like you can also try out like this driver sheets over here. Like and you can probably start with this sheet. And looks like interface has changed, like he has multiple seats like A to Z and SD3. I'm not really sure like what is the relative difficulty of these seats, but you can try out these four seats to have something to begin with. My rating is not increasing from 1200. I can easily solve questions up to C. Still, it's stuck there. What should I do? Like probably if you can solve up to C in a due to, then probably the only place where you are lacking is the speed. So like the best way would be to do virtual contests, which I think you have already mentioned before. And like that would be the way. Like to get good at contest and get good at speed, like the way to do it would be virtual contest. Is people on Codeforces enough for cracking online assessment? Like the question is online assessment of which companies? Like different companies have different difficulty level. For some of them it might be easy. For some of them it might not be easy. And like I don't really have a reference point of like at which point like it becomes starts becoming easy. And it also depends on your goal, like which company you are targeting for. Like some companies prefer taking like asking hard questions. Some of them might really ask easy questions as well. What topics should I prepare for doing CP? Like the way you can do is like you can refer this user guide here. It has four sections: bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Bronze is the easiest division and platinum is the hardest division, which is compared to D1. Here you can see like different topic wise problems are there, and like for example this divide and conquer DP, there are some explanations for it, and then there are some practice problems here. So you can probably pick this seat over here, like if you want to grind for competitive programming. And to be honest, like I haven't really given online assessment of any company apart from the place where I am working at. So like I do not have idea of like what difficulty of questions are there in fan companies, to be honest. And probably I would say like I would refrain from going via rating, because back when I was in college 3 years ago, like I did give a Google assessment test, like which was in Hacker Earth back then, and like the difficulty was a bit jumbled up. Some of my friends who were much lower rated than me had easy problems and they were able to solve both of them. But I think in my case, like I found the second problem really hard and I was not able to solve it. So sometimes the luck is also involved there. What do you think about AI replacing SDEs? Like I would say like right now it's too early to comment anything on it, and probably let's just wait for some more time. And any more questions? Yeah, like probably I refrain from naming the company where I'm working at on anything I do related to YouTube, because like both of these are independent activities, to be honest. Okay, can you say tips when I am solving a contest? Sometimes I solve two and three, but sometimes it's hard to solve. Like I think, I think Colin had made a lot of YouTube videos on it. Like let me search the name. Like you can probably refer to this YouTuber like Colin Glenn here. Like he had made a lot of videos on psychology, like how to awaken innocence. Like you can try out. I haven't really watched these videos, so I don't really know how much helpful they are. But like a lot of people do watch it. How much time do you spend on code forces? Like these days, I just participate in contests and do stream. I don't spend any time practicing. And to be honest, I don't have that much time either. So like it's pretty like 23 problems in last month, which I think were the problem, and only 200 problem in last 2 years. How should beginners start a CP? Like I think you can refer to this over here. Like roadmap to read in 2 minutes. It's a clickbait channel, but think I have answered this question. Like here I have written what I did when I was below expert. What I did when I was targeting 2118, and probably an expert would come up sometime. So how long did it take to build this rating? Like you can see, like I registered on Codeforces 6 years ago. First contest was in March 2018, and I graduated in sometime around June 21. And right now it's 2.5 years after I have graduated. What editor do you use? Like I use Sublime Text, and like I have some custom scripts from the Eknerwala setup. I can probably paste like he has these two scripts like which I am also using. Eknerwala, like his legendary grandmaster on purposes. And I use these to download all the samples and dry run as well. Like these are the two scripts which I use along with this competitive companion as well to download samples and dry run everything there. How did you drop from grandmaster? The reason is simple. I don't practice anymore, and like you have to be consistent to solve over there. And like rating is temporary. Like it will definitely drop and increase over there. And like I decided not to stop participating when I was grandmaster. My rating is 936. How to reach people? What topic do I do? And should I give contest of Div 3 and Div 4? Like first, I will say do at Coder beginner contest because like they are really good over there for the beginners. And then you can start with Div 3, Div 4, and like if you are looking for something like to participate in, solve it in topic wise, then USAO guide would can send something which can help you. You can start with bronze division here and solve the problems here. Like I think there are 96 problems in this. Then you can probably try silver division and so on. I am in fourth year each pupil. Can you share some tips to get a good job? Like I would say like the process is simple. Do grind. Like continue grinding. Reach out to people on LinkedIn for the referrals and keep applying. Like I'm not really sure like how the market is right now. But like the way to do is probably like you keep trying in the one company or the other one. And like and probably you might want to focus on some of the core computer science subject as well if you are targeting software engineering over there. And like there, I don't think we have any shortcut. Like you will have to keep grinding over it. Okay, like Arya Joshi also asked, like if I paint all n minus one part in the second color and first part in the first color, then Bob needs to paint all n minus one parts, right? No, that's not true. In that case, Bob can directly paint the first color with the second color and everything will have same color. It's nowhere written that all the colors should be of first type only. It can also be possible that all the colors can be of second type. So in that case, by just painting one color, you can get everything of the equal color. Okay, I genuinely need some advice. Like I am 1580 on CF, but I am not able to increase my rating. Also, no matter how hard I try, the 1650 rated problem don't click on me. Can you suggest some path? Okay, like it might be a bit tricky, I would say. Like one thing which I would say is like when I have was facing problems like this, and if you look at my screencast, I do two things. Like most of the time, I open this page at the start of contest, and I never refresh if it's rated for me. So like when I solve, I have no idea like how many people have solved a particular problem. And I generally open this complete problem set page to read all the problems, and I click here to directly submit here. And generally, I do not look at standing as well. Like because like when you see keep looking at the number of problems solved, like you subconsciously see like you would be able to solve a problem which has 500 aces. But if it has less than 100 aces, you keep waiting until the problem gets 500 aces, and then you try solving over it. And like that might somehow get impact you over here. And like you can probably try to hide tags over here so that you don't know the problem setting before you start. And like that can help you build confidence that sometimes you might be able to solve 1800 problems over there. So like you can untake here, so like you will never see problem of any time. And because you don't know the rating of a problem, then you might end up solving some 1800 problems, because like it's not gradient. Like if you are good at some topics, you would be able to solve 1800 problems, but you are weak in some topics, you might not be able to solve 1500 problems. No. And the problem right now is you look at rating before you try to solve problem, and that impacts, like you either have confidence you might solve it or you may not solve it. I am weak in development. Can you share some resource about learning Java Springboard? Okay, I'm sorry, but to be honest, I don't know how to code in Java yet. So like I have never coded in Java, neither have used Springboard. So I might not be the best person to answer here. Okay, like I sometimes, if there are easy problems, I code in Python. Sometimes I code in C++, but I don't think I have ever made a submission in Java yet. Did your logic improve with practice, or it was something like it definitely improves with practice, to be honest? Like if you look at like initially when I started, I just solving 1 2 1 2 3 problems. It's a div 3 where I solved 7 problems, and over time, like I increased the number of problems I was able to solve. So like practice is the only way, I would say. Like can you get internships directly on the basis of CP? I would say like there are some small number of companies that ask only DSA problems, but some of them do, like a lot of companies do ask like what was your previous experience, like, or at least there is a hiring manager round which generally asks you about your previous project or like what you did in college. Some probably course project as well, not just internship or something like that. And like it's good to have something to discuss over there. Okay, how to deal with stress and anxiety during college days. Seniors seeing juniors is CM on Codeforces and UR people. Like I would say like the best way is like everyone has their own path. If you keep looking at the others, then other will definitely move ahead. Like rather look them as a source of inspiration instead of competing against them. Like if you look at my motto on Coursera, it's like compete against yourself. So like I would say like see juniors as an inspiration rather than getting jealous of them. And like everyone has a different part, and like everyone has a different journey, and the time they need to reach a particular rating is different over there. It may be the case that they were good at some topic when they were in school, although they might not have done CP or something like that. So any more questions? So like in the third sample it's 3516 3982. The way I did it was like first make all the elements equal. So here 5 is smaller than 9, 1 is smaller than 8, and 2 is smaller than 6 to have this. So my number becomes 35123986. And the next part was find the first number where both the numbers are not equal, swap them. So my number becomes 3912 and 3586. And my claim was like this product is the maximum product you can get. Like it checked on all the numbers. 5 is less than 9, do nothing. 1 is less than 8, do nothing. 6 is greater than 2, swap it. So number becomes 35183986. And now it should find the first number where both the numbers are not equal and swap them. So number becomes 39123586. And like this was also the answer here. I think I was able to at least dry run on the sample third of the problem. Not able to make intuition from problems, already did ton of median problems on lead code. I would probably say like it depends, like everyone needs a different number of problem count to try to be able to solve more problems there. And like probably like I'm not really sure like how do I answer this problem. Like the only way to build intuition for future problems is to try a lot of problems. And like 10, if I look at it 12, or then that might not be enough. Like 10 is 12 is dozen, sorry. Like to be honest, I have no other advice rather than keep trying, keep grinding over there. Thank you sir for Q&A. फ्यूचर में भी ऐसे ही क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर करता रहेगा. श्योर आई विल डू इट. लाइक एंड आपको हिंदी आती है? लाइक आई डू नो हिंदी एंड मारवाड़ी, but let's just say like I want to improve upon my English speaking skill. That's why the channel is mostly in English. And like probably like the audience outside India might not want to watch a Hindi stream to begin with. Can you share some resources on how to improve aptitude, sorry. So probably like to be honest, I don't really have like, because like I I don't really remember what I did back then. Like probably I would say like the best way would be like you might have some target companies over there which might ask aptitude. Then you can probably search on the lead code discussion forum for the problems of the, like you can look at the interview experiences of the people who gave interviews in those companies, and then you can try out, like for example, Amazon has these many, and probably that might be the way. Like imagination is way more important in CP than we think. From JE days to now, CP is always imagine the structure of a problem and then find a solution, and it helped me. Like that may be one way for it. So, like, any more questions before we call it a day today? Codeforces versus AdCoder versus CodeShop versus LeetCode. Which is better? Which one should I prefer? It depends on your goal. Like, if you are looking for an internship or placement in the immediate term, I would say go for LeetCode. Compared to, let's say, you have a just a pupil or like less than 1400 on Codeforces, then I would say do all the AdCoder beginner contests. Don't miss them. And along with that, at least try to do Codeforces Div 3, Div 4, and probably lead CodeShop starter as well. Like, there is no need to choose between different websites. If you have a lot of time, just do all of them. Like, skipping a contest should be an exception rather than going the other way around. And like, what are your future goals? Probably someday I will create a stream and share it over there. And like, probably someone also asked like, what is my CP journey? Like, probably someday I will create a video on it. Apart from CP, what do you like to do? Like, I work as a software engineer in the daytime, so like that's something I like. And probably back in the school days, I used to play a lot of cricket, but these days is mostly some exercise or something which I do apart from probably doing something. And like, I do watch sub TV when I'm eating lunch, dinner, or something. So like that's the other bit I do. Please explain problem. I think probably I will add timestamps over there, and you would be able to rewind the stream. And if something is unclear in the explanation, then you can probably add a comment here or add a comment on Discord. What part is unclear? I can try to explain that part again. But probably for now, like the best way would be like to rewind the stream and look at problem. Or like I learn more advanced topics, but I am still people. Like that's a bit interesting. Like this is a famous Umnik blog. Like Umnik, as you might know, like is a legendary grandmaster on Codeforces. Like I'm like things that I have heard of, but I don't know. Imagine how many I haven't heard, and like he listed down a lot of things over there. So probably like I would say like it would be, better to focus on like building intuition at least. And like he says, if you know at least three of these things and you are not right, you are doing it wrong. Stop learning useless algorithm. Go solve more problems. Learn how to use binary search. So like that's where the meme came in. Like you shouldn't learn anything apart from binary search before you hit grandmaster. और आपके दोस्त के साथ का पॉडकास्ट कब आएगा? आई एम प्लानिंग इट ऑन संडे इवनिंग फॉर नाउ, either this Sunday evening or next Sunday evening. Like the video is ready, at least I have added the subtitles as well. And yeah, can CP help in off-campus referrals? Yes, it can, because like the number of problems you have solved on Codeforces rating can help the referee gauge an idea, like whether you would be able to solve like the DSA problems asked in the interview or not. And like this is one way to measure, like at least there is some parameter to measure here. While like if you have some impressive projects or something like that can also definitely help in the referrals there. Like I would say like probably like the easiest way to get referrals is based on rating as well. Like you can probably try out projects, and if there are some really impressive projects, then that can also help you out. So any more questions? I think I will probably end this stream then.